I've noticed that career is kind of a dirty word, yet uh people who've had long, successful careers are equally revered across industries. So you've got people who are like trying to get something going right now, starting from the bottom. And a challenge with being like an emerging artist is that if you do things that are deemed too calculating or too I guess obvious in respect to you just wanting to fucking write the next blockbuster or have the next big song on TikTok or whatever the fuck you do, then people will say, "Oh, he's just a fucking fame whore." She's bending over just wanting, to get corporate sponsorships, and there's an obvious play, or like there is a an ulterior motive almost to like something that you're putting out, where people can kind of read your thoughts, supposed thoughts. And I'm guilty of this. I see certain people do things. I'm like, oh yeah, this is your breakup book. The next one's going to be a drug addiction book. It's like, feels fabricated, feels like they're just ticking things off a list that you need to do in order to climb the ladder and become a respected titan of industry. And yeah, it feels a little unfair because it puts a lot of, maybe unfair is the wrong word. It feels a little futile in that the creative industries are changing so rapidly. So someone pursuing this type of thing um probably doesn't know what they're doing. Even if they, let's assume someone is being like, I want a long career. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sacrifice my sense of individuality and just gauge the market and give them what they want. What the market wants, who fucking knows that? That's really bold and speculative to try and figure out what anyone wants and how to give it to them. So I think it's like a difficult thing to gauge, but some people manage to do it. And you're like, wow, they were able to kind of time things perfectly. And it's a strange thing where they managed to take a lot of swings in terms of putting out a bunch of stuff, taking risks, but the risks seem calculated and well thought out. And they seem to have a lot of successes and they can be prolific. And you're like, how the fuck are they doing that? And you're like, you careerist asshole. You're just trying to build a career. Whereas the purists will say the real artists like have no understanding of that. They completely like just don't have a marketing bone in their body. And they're just going to create when they need to create. And they're going to be like in opposition to the market itself. Because they just live and breathe what they do and they're auteurs, man. So yeah, that's therein lies the argument, right? And in the same breath, whenever like a new emerging artist gets the opportunity to kind of like connect with someone who's been in the game for years, and it could be someone, let's say the young emerging artist is someone who kind of like puts a precedence on like speaking their mind and like humming your own tune and not bending to the wheel. You can meet like this old fucking grizzled rocker, like a fucking I don't know, the Rolling Stones or the Who or whoever, and they could be like, "Oh my god, you're just like such a big fan. I've really respected what you've done with your career." So it's like, what the fuck? Which one is it? We like careers when they're long and successful, but when someone is just starting out and they're trying to have a career, it's deemed too on the nose. Like, surely history has been rewritten to make it seem like the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, the Sex Pistols, whoever, all these kids when they were just starting out, it's like they didn't fucking know what they were doing. They were just living it. They were down in Hamburg on speed, performing 6 hours every night. It's like, yeah, trying to get the career off the ground. and and so I feel like it's I because I the whole scenario that I painted before of judging people who are too calculated. And it starts getting into like areas in which where it's like you're judging people who aren't like your cup of tea in terms of the stuff they produce, which I think is futile because you're always going to have a reason to dislike them because you're like, this is not my cup of tea, and you're taking attention away in this attention economy from my stuff. So it's like you hate everyone who kind of isn't doing your own shit anyway. And then people who are doing your own shit, you hate them almost more because you're like, well, with the people who are interested in our little thing, they're choosing to look at you instead of me. So fuck you even more. So there is like an element of jealousy across all facets of it. But I feel like I, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to think that like it's good if anyone has any type of success, and if anyone starts building a career, um, it's probably if you're adjacent to them or even in the same ballpark of what they're doing, it's probably good for you, especially if they're doing something completely new because they might be able to they might be able to uh like what is it? Rising tides lifts all boats type of vibe. And wouldn't it be cool to have a career doing creative stuff as opposed to having to do shit laptop jobs or gig work, whatever? Um, yeah, like I guess having a career on your own terms would be nice, but when is anything ever fully on your own terms? Even when you're an independent artist, you're fucking doing your own thing, you're doing all your hustling, you're doing all your creating. Those people are typically dealing with like severe lack of money, mental health problems, uh, lack of support in their fucking emotional lives and all this stuff. But the upside is they have all this freedom. If you start building a career, like, yeah, maybe you get a bit more money, maybe you get a bit more support, but like someone else is gonna dip their fucking fingers in a little bit. Um, yeah, and you don't have to do that, but someone else trying to build a career is not necessarily a bad thing. Particularly, yeah, there's all these mixed messages in our culture because people are like, yeah, never give up, keep pursuing things. And so when you see someone like keep knocking on the same door and keep trying to build something, there's a part of you where it's like, oh yeah, just give up, saying ain't gonna fucking happen. But other times it's like, well, yeah, if you want a career, I guess you do need to keep doing the same thing over and over again so people know what you do. I don't fucking know, man. I listened to a little clip of Bill Burr the other day on YouTube talking about how he went over to Dubai to go do stand up. It was like a 10-minute clip. He had some, I assume, American comedians with him as his openers, and they were nervous before the show because they were getting told what they can and can't say. And he said he did the gig and he got to meet his Royal Highness or his Excellency afterwards, and he said he was a cool dude. And uh yeah, and that he basically just said that like he was in his head before doing the show, but then he thought it through and he thought, if I do the show and get through it unscathed and just follow the rules, do my bit, then I'll get paid, and then it maybe be an opportunity for someone else to come and do the thing. And so yeah, that is kind of the I tend, I'm not someone who necessarily thinks about my fucking career. Like it would always be kind of like a dirty word just because of the connotation with corporate calculated, just what is the outcome of this is kind of like, as opposed to process. I'm a process guy. I'm like, how do I want to live my life? When I wake up in the morning on an average day, tomorrow or 5 years in the future or 20 years in the future, what do I want my day to look like? And so I guess I incorporate my kind of a creativity within that process as opposed to like, what do I want to get out of it? Um, but if someone wants to think differently, then great, because that, I don't know, my shit might align with theirs somehow, or they might open doors for me somehow. So I feel like it's not necessarily a dirty word. Um, People can still create really shitty art and can be cunts. But I think just by them trying to create a career for themselves, because you don't begrudge the Rolling Stones or the Beatles or their success. over several decades. Elton John, these people who've like kept at it. You think like that is, even if the music isn't the cup of tea, it's something to be applauded that they've figured out a way to fucking keep doing it. So but yet we don't extend the same kind of like admiration to people who are at the other end of the spectrum and just starting out trying to get something off the ground, in my opinion. Or maybe just the snarky little sections of Twitter that I'm hanging out in don't seem to do it, and everyone else is cool. It's the land of milk and honey, baby. Hope you're cashing in. See you in the next one. Bye.